The honourable member for Sturgeon River Parkland.
Mr. Speaker, it's tax time in Canada and millions of Canadians are filing their tax returns. Last year, many Canadians received their carbon tax rebate in full, but this year they have to wait 3 more months just to get a quarter of what they received last year. With inflation at generational highs, the Liberals' move to quarterly payments means less money for Canadian families. Canadians want their money now. Why is this government nickel and diming Canadians on their carbon tax rebates?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Environment.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to thank the honourable member for the question. And while the members on the other side have been fixated on April 1st, Mr. Speaker, I have been fixated on July 15th. And of course, Mr. Speaker, that's the date when Canadians will receive the climate action rebate checks. Mr. Speaker, it will be a double payment. And Mr. Speaker, they will receive these quarterly checks for months to come. Mr. Speaker, we're fighting climate change and we're promoting affordability.
The honourable member for St. Albert Edmonton.
Speaker, the PBO has put to rest the NDP Liberal government's bogus claim that the carbon tax is revenue neutral. The St. Albert Legion wrote to me and said that the carbon tax will cost them $6,000 this year. That's $6,000 that could have been spent to support veterans in my community. So, when will the NDP Liberal government just admit that the carbon tax isn't revenue neutral and axe the tax?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I don't know where the honourable member is getting his numbers from, but under our plan, the majority of families will continue to receive more money back in a rebate than they pay, Mr. Speaker. You've heard these numbers before from our Associate Finance Minister. This year, $600 in Ontario, $700 in Manitoba, $1,100 in Saskatchewan and Alberta. This is more money in the pockets of Canadians, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Louis Saint-Laurent. Mr. Speaker, we are 2 days from April 1st. If this government doesn't want to know what's happening in Canada on April 1st, let me tell you, in 2 days, the Liberal carbon tax will increase. It's been weeks that we've been asking the government to give Canadians a break, to give them some air, not to increase the Liberal carbon tax. There are 2 days remaining. Will the government understand and show the goodwill behind this and give Canadians a break? Do not increase the Liberal carbon tax. The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, and as I've said before in this House, pricing pollution is recognized as one of the most efficient ways to fight climate change, and it will not only reduce pollution, Mr. Speaker, but it will drive innovation to help create the clean growth economy and the jobs of tomorrow, Mr. Speaker. And once again, as the Parliamentary Budget Officer has said, 8 out of 10 families will be better off. And Mr. Speaker, those families will receive those checks quarterly starting July 15th.
The honourable member for Louis Saint-Laurent. Well, Mr. Speaker, here's the reality. For months and months, inflation in Canada has been rising. Inflation is now over 5.7%. All Canadian families are paying more today than they paid a few months ago. And in 2 days, in 2 short days, the Liberals will increase the Liberal carbon tax. Can they understand the logic? This will increase inflation and Canadian families will pay even more.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, let's talk about the facts. First of all, we reduced middle-class taxes twice and increased taxes for the richest 1%. The Conservatives voted against. Second, we created the Canadian Child Benefit Index to inflation. Conservatives voted against it. Third, we gave seniors over the age of 75 a one-time payment of $500. What did the Conservatives do? They voted against it. We take action, and we don't know what they're doing.